And it's all I got. And matches the gas. And it's all right. I'm jumping jack flash. It's a gas, gas, gas. Woo! You welcome to this brand new edition of the YOU ORNS Watford FC post-match. And my terrible singing skills, I'm sure Mick Jagger will not be sending me a Christmas card at the end of this year. Notwithstanding, it's great to have you aboard, fellow Watford supporters. Great to have you aboard on this happy recap today after Watford get the job done on the road. Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Welcome, fellow Watford supporters everywhere. It's a pleasure to have you aboard. Great to see you after Derby County 0, Watford 2. A very good performance by the Golden Boys. I think their best away performance really this season, if you really look at it. And it's really good to see a Watford team that was committed from the very start of the game. This was one of the really good games that Watford have played this season, and we've not seen a lot of them. We had everything go right for us today. We had a clean sheet. We had good goals scored. We had good opportunities. We could have had more. And we had an excellent debut from James Abankwah. How good was he today? He was absolutely brilliant in his Watford debut. And I think the key to his debut was what he actually did in the first 28 seconds of the match, which was get a yellow card with a really strong old-time English football challenge in defense. He was absolutely sensational. And he made a mark right there immediately. Brown Electrons, hello to you on YouTube. Woo! He says, get in, indeed, for the Golden Boys as they get in with a 2-0 win today. But James Abankwah, for me, was absolutely sensational. What a Watford debut. That man is absolutely going to be a permanent fixture in this team as long as he's able to during this loan spell. He was absolutely brilliant. And as I said, he left a mark, literally and figuratively, on this game at the very start. He warned everybody that he was a no-nonsense defender. Obviously, you don't want to see him get sent off after 28 seconds. And he obviously had to mind his P's and Q's after that. But that challenge at the very start of this game set the tone for the entire team. Why? It meant you had a very engaged Watford side. They were engaged. They were together today. You saw how lively they were. You saw Quadro Barr snapping into some tackles as well, and Barr does that. But he was sensational too. I thought that the midfield was excellent. TDB was terrific. I know he had to get subbed off at halftime, and I pray it was because the Klebs was wanting to guard his minutes and take it easy on him. I definitely shudder to think if he got hurt again, we'll find out one way or the other. But this team performance was a really, really solid one from this team today. You've got to love what the Watford did today. We were absolutely at it, and the fan base was really well represented at Pride Park. It was sensational to see all of you there. Oh, my goodness me. There must have been a good, 2,000 maybe? I don't know. Going up to the Midlands to see that game today, to go into Derby, which is a tricky place. Derby have done well. They beat West Brom at that place that they played at today. They've had some good results there, Derby. They've struggled. This is their fourth straight defeat now. But Watford go in there having played terribly at Cardiff. And then what they did for the last 10, 15 minutes against Cardiff is exactly what they did for the entire game today. They brought those last 15 minutes from South Wales over to the Midlands. And then they used that playbook and played to perfection. I thought the defending was excellent. Sierralta in that back line was terrific. All three of the back line were terrific. It was a back three to start with today, and I don't think Klebs changed that really for the whole game. That back line was sensational. That is what you call defending. Clean sheet. It's our first clean sheet in at least 8 weeks. It's been a long time since we've had a clean sheet. That was an excellent performance. It might be QPR was probably the last time. Watford 0, QPR 0, November 30th. That might be the last time Watford had a clean sheet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm saying this off the top of my head. Watford fans, always a pleasure to have you. Please hit that request button. Have your say today on Watford and Derby. Watford winning the game. The Golden Boys with the golden win at Derby County. Let's be having you on. We want to hear from you. This is the time we want to hear from you. Come on now, Watford fans. You can't be silent on this. And Brown Electrons is not silent at all on YouTube. He is absolutely going on fire here. Thank you, Brown, for your comments. Great debut, he says, of James Abankwah. Fits in well with the others. Does he ever? Clev said this during the week when we got him, that this man's going straight into the lineup. He has a good skill about defending. He knows the art of defending, and he does. He really does. He got his angles correct. He got his body positioned in the right ways. He cleared the ball, not just anywhere, but cleared it to players at the front line. James Abankwah, this man is absolute gold for us. He is brilliant. So I know it's just one game. I don't want to get too crazy, but I'm sorry. That is an excellent debut. I'm not going to apologize for that, even though I just did. That is a brilliant debut. You got to love the man. Oh, I'll get his shirt tomorrow. I mean, I know he's a lone player, but man, he's shown you more marbles, to put it nicely, than a lot of other Watford defenders have. And it was telling. Porteous on the bench today, and he never got off the bench. I hope that wherever Porteous lands, whether he stays or whether he goes, he can look at that young man, who I think is a good few years younger than he, and look at him as an example of what you do when you defend. That was an excellent defensive performance by the team. Team defending was excellent. The individual performances defensively were excellent. Pollock was terrific today. He made a couple of really timely headers and interceptions. I think team-wide from back to front, you saw a really good Watford. All three of that back line were terrific. I really salute that defense today. Pollock was excellent. Abankwah was excellent. Sierralta was excellent. He was terrific in the middle of that three. You had Pollock on the left side of the three, and you had Abankwah on the right side of the three. Normally, you have Pollock on the right side of the three, and then you would have, in that normal, you'd have Porteous on the left. But what they did is put, and by the way, Abankwah can play anywhere on that line. Usually he can play left or right, but cleverly put him on the right side. It was the right move. He switched Porteous left, and he had Sierralta in the middle. And I think they were excellent. What a great group of lads today. I couldn't be prouder of this Watford side today. They had some real character against Cardiff, having played terribly for 80 minutes. Then they found the formula in those final 15. And thankfully, it's one of the things I called for in the pre-match on YouTube at You ORNS WFC. Please subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel. One thing I said on the pre-match this morning or this afternoon is that we had to score first, and we had to take the 15 minutes that we got from Cardiff and bring that into this match. And that's exactly what we did today. I couldn't be more pleased about this performance. And the upsides were terrific. I thought Jonathan Bond was superb in goal. And that's not an overstating it. I'm not overstating it at all. Jonathan Bond made some excellent saves to keep that clean sheet. He wanted that clean sheet bad. Jonathan Bond was absolutely sensational today. How many saves did he make? And when that ball hit the crossbar a million times for Derby, I tweeted it out on X. This was Watford's day today. You knew it. I mean, how many times they hit the post and the crossbar? And we hit the crossbar once as well. Should have scored at least 3 more times. Bio had a really good opportunity to score. I think Vata had an opportunity. Kayembe could have doubled his tally for the day. But listen, all of these players, Bio, everyone, they all played well today. The only thing you're worried about is TDB. We'll find out what the situation is on him, whether he is injured or if it was just Clev's taking some precautions with him. He's been out for 3 months. The last time he played was October the 19th against you-know-who. And literally, it's almost exactly 3 months to the day. And I thought TDB was excellent when he was on the pitch. One thing that you see is that the patience. I saw this in the midfield today, and I don't know what you all think about this. And you can comment on anything about Watford, please. Would love to have that. There was a lot of patience in that midfield today. And obviously, when the game is coming at you fast like that, and Derby were going to be a younger team, and they were going to put in tackles, and they were going to get physical, and they were going to run at you, I thought the patience and the poise of the midfield was terrific today. Loser was really a calming influence. Once again, we were worried about whether he'd play this game. There were rumors maybe he might not be fit enough, but he did. And I thought that he and TDB were terrific. The calm, the patience. One thing that TDB does for me when he comes out there in midfield, he slows the game down in some ways, in the sense that he is really patient with his passing. He does the passes well, and he does them quickly when he makes the decision to, but he has a very patient and really confident, composed way of playing the position in the midfield. He sees what opens up. He's good on the ball. He holds up the play well. He's got a good low center of gravity. His ability to pick out the pass and move the ball forward and find the channels and find the spaces. It's really good football. It really is. And I really love what Abankwah brought to you. I can't say enough about him. I've gone on and on about him. That lad is terrific. Really good old school defender that we don't have. We don't have a defender who's not afraid to go in like that. And yes, he could have been sent off. This referee was a bit of a disaster at times today. He gives out yellow cards to the wrong players. But, listen, we don't care about that. As Brown Electron says on YouTube, we come, we slap, and we go. And we do. We go. That's a really important win for us today. That's 3 very important points. Let's look at that quite quickly here. I won't say quickly. Let's look at really the reality of what we did today at Derby. That's 3 important points. That gets us to 8th in the table. West Bromwich Albion looked like they picked up a draw today, and they certainly did. West Brom 1, Stoke 1 was the final there from the Hawthorn. Stoke were leading that game for quite some time. Oxford beat Blackburn. That's a massive win for Oxford. Oxford near the bottom of the table. That's a massive win. So Blackburn lose. So we pick up on them. We pick up ground on Blackburn. We pick up ground on West Brom, even though West Brom brought a point. And here's some other good news. Portsmouth 1, Middlesbrough 1. That's the latest score at Portsmouth at Fratton Park. 77 minutes on the clock. Portsmouth, who were trailing in that game, got a goal from Matt Ritchie. We know Matt Ritchie from all of his Bournemouth and Newcastle days. Has equalized for Portsmouth now with 77 minutes on the clock at the Fratton Park. Fratton Park. That is a massive one there. So if that stays where it stays, Watford at that point would stay, I think, in 8th. But if Portsmouth was somehow able to get a win, well, no, that would really not factor in for us. We'd still be where we are. We're in 8th. We will probably finish the day in 8th. That's what we're looking at. We will finish the day in 8th place. I'll read out your comments on X. If you want to have a say, please hit the request button. Do not be shy. Welcoming your contributions here. My name is Omar, and a long-time Watford supporter for a long, long time. And listen, it's great to have fellow Watford supporters in the building live here from San Francisco, California, where it is gloomy. And it is cold with a capital K. I mean, a capital C. This is absolutely gold, isn't it? You got to love it. You got to win. You got to win today. And we're speechless. I find it hard to believe that we could possibly, as Watford fans, be speechless after a really fun performance. Great performance from the fans. The Watford faithful always travel well, in good voice from start to finish. The shots of the crowd today, brilliant. That must have been at least 1,000, 2,000 people we traveled up with from Hertfordshire and parts around there and all beyond. That's a spectacular job by you, the fan base. Really, really good stuff. Not a bad performance, says Dave. David, thank you for this comment on X. Not a bad performance from anyone that started the game. You fear the midfield suffers when Sissoko comes on, but massive credit, says David. He was superb. Heaps of positives from some unlikely heroes. And a buoyant 3 points. That was a good one. Well said, David. That is what we're talking about here on the post-match. The Yellow Army Yak. Really excited today because we've got the win. And here's Eric to give us more. We want to hear more. And this is where it comes from. Eric, thank you so very much indeed. Eric, you are on the You ORNS post-match. Get in there, Eric.
Hi, Omar.
Hello there, Eric.
Hi, how you doing, buddy?
Very, very good. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. 3 points.
Love it.
I want to say today, loser. At the start of the season, I wanted him gone, and he's completely just changed my mind. And his performances have been unbelievable. Also, Bar. Where would we be without Bar? I didn't expect much from him this season, and he's been like the first name on the team sheet I'd put on easily.
No question. No question about it. Bar is penciled in every time to start these games. He's been an absolute revelation. I know Tom Cleverley, as you remember this, Eric, early on was saying, we'll go easy with Bar. We don't want everyone to expect much of him. But you've got my philosophy on this, Eric, and I would say this to Cleverley if he ever listened to I'm sure he doesn't, to this post-match, is Cleverley. You've got to play the young lads. The only way they're going to learn is if you put them in the deep end. How do we all learn? We learn from making mistakes. We learn from experience. And the more experiences you give these younger lads, the better it's going to be for you the long term. These lads have got energy to burn. They're learning. You see what Bar's done. He's been superb. You see Rocco Vata. You see a Banquet today. You've got to put the young lads in, Eric. Totally agree. Anything else you have to say today? Eric, are you there? I can't hear you if you're saying anything at the moment.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just saying, yeah, that's what you want from your wingers. So I'm glad Bar's like, you need players that will run at defenders and make them on their toes.
Absolutely, Eric. It's absolutely a joy to see this happening. This is the kind of performance that you want away from home. We carried those last 15 minutes of Cardiff into this game. And yes, as you point out, you want to see your team be aggressive. Run at defenders, man. Let them know you're in the building. And that's what Watford did today after, 5 or 6 minutes? That's just a terrific start. So there we go. Eric, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Cheers. Thank you, Omar.
You're welcome, Eric. Take care, mate.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you. Eric there with his comments on Derby 0, Watford 2, and he's singing the praises of Quadro Bar. What a revelation Quadro Bar has been. He has really been special. Georgie didn't play the game. As you all know, Georgie did not play this game today with a hamstring issue. We'll see how long he'll be out for. It might be just for this game, maybe a game or two. It could be longer. We don't know. Hamstrings are always troublesome, but I really appreciate the comments there, Eric. Thank you. Yeah, Quadro Bar's been terrific. Listen, the bottom line is he is involved in everything. If you look at his goal involvements, I'm sure right now it's at least 10 goal involvements, if not more this season. He scored 3 or 4 goals this season, maybe even 5. He's been assisting on pretty much everything from creation. He assisted today on a goal. He assisted on the bio goal to get the equalizer against Cardiff. This man absolutely is a staple in the side, as Eric pointed out. And look, you have to be pleased about the way this team attacked the game today. That's the difference, right? I called for this in the pre-match on YouTube. We must start these games better. We must attack these games better. And Kevin Shanahan said this on YouTube. Loser didn't read the script. Watford go a goal down in the first 5 minutes. Yeah, that's the script usually, isn't it, Kevin? on YouTube. Yeah, that's usually the script. But obviously, as you point out, Loser didn't read it at all. He absolutely flipped the script completely. And so Watford scoring after 5 minutes and change in that contest today. And you know that when you score first in these games, you have a better chance of winning them. You really, really do. In all of these games, the last 8 or 9 games that I can remember, or even longer than that, Watford had trailed in a whole load of these games. You might have to look back. The last time Watford scored first in a game was the game against West Brom that we won. That's off the top of my head. Anybody can check that. And we beat West Brom 2-1 at the Vic back in December in mid-December, December the 15th, I think it was. I think that's the last time Watford scored first in a game. You think about that. It's been more than a month. And so the formula in these games is for us to score first. If we score first in the game, we usually win the game. Now, listen, against Plymouth, which I think was in November of last year, we scored first and did not win the game. But we didn't lose the game either. So it's critical in these games to score first, and especially away from home. We scored first against Sheffield Wednesday. We won that game. Scored first against Millwall. We won that game. And this is only our 3rd away win of the season. These away wins are going to be absolutely key to whether we get to the playoffs. They really will be. And so at this point, I'm very, very pleased with what Watford have accomplished today. I thought the comments from David as well was really spot on, as with obviously Eric as well with the comments he made. I am very pleased about what's happened. We are still at 1-1 between Portsmouth and Middlesbrough, so that's an important scoreline as well to keep your eye on. At the top of the table, just give you that very quickly. Sheffield United on 55 points, Leeds on 53. Burnley, who dropped points yesterday, but have still only conceded 9 goals this season. We're the last team to score against them, and that was over a month ago. They're on 53 in 3rd place. Sunderland in 4th on 51. Middlesbrough at the moment, who are drawing with Portsmouth, they're on 42 points in 5th. Blackburn, who lost today. Blackburn have lost 3 of their last 6. They lost today to Oxford. That's a stunning loss there. Blackburn, to me, are the weak link in that top 6. They're on 42 points, and they have 27 games played in 6th. And then it's West Brom on 41, and then we are on 41 in 8th. Our goal difference is way behind the rest, though. We are 10 goals behind West Brom for the plus goal difference, and that's really the difference there. They're plus 11. We're on plus 1. And more importantly than that, I think, is that we also have a 4-point gap to 9th place. So Bristol City are in 9th on 37. So we have a 4-point gap there. So we can't go any lower than 8th for the time being. And probably as importantly, we're just 1 point off the playoffs now. Having Blackburn losing that game today was very important for us. We have 12 wins, 5 draws, and 10 defeats. We've scored 38 and conceded 37. We have now gone 2 unbeaten. I think that's important, very important for us. Our confidence level improved, I thought, today. I thought we managed the game very well. Yes, there were opportunities for Derby when they hit the bar a million times, but our defense held firm. I thought the substitutions were very wise. Ogbonna came in to calm things down. Sissoko was a revelation off the bench, as David pointed out. And as I pointed out to a Watford fan during the game on X, Sissoko is better off the bench. This is the time in his career at this point where he is going to be a bench player for you now. He had 1 or 2 very good games to start the season, and then he dropped off. He is just not the same player. But I do think that you saw the electricity and the skill and the commitment from him when he came off the bench today and looked a lot livelier. He had a chance. He had a really good thumping shot at the goal. You may remember that just went off the bar. Actually, it was saved, I think. It went off the bar, I think, and then the goalkeeper, I don't know how the goalkeeper headed that out. It looked like he was going to head it into the back of the net. So for me, Sissoko was electrifying off the bench. Really loved what he brought to it today off the bench, and I think that's where he's going to be, where he's going to play the best role for us. It's hard to believe, and I'm looking at the table again. West Brom have lost just 4 games, but what's killed West Brom this season, by the way, is 14 draws. 14 draws. So Watford are right there. They're right there now. 1 point off the playoffs, and again, a very good performance here today. This performance was very good. It's one of the best away performances of the season, which is not, maybe you might not think that's saying much, but I do think that's saying quite a bit considering everything. Our next game is at home to Preston North End. That will be Tuesday night at the Vic at 7:45 p.m. Wow. Preston North End today is our next opponent. Preston, by the way, speaking of Preston, they actually, if you look at the game that they played today, Preston held Luton Town. Oh, well, it's still going on. I shouldn't jinx anything yet. Oh, I haven't jinxed it. It's just turned final. That's the result now. That's the result at the Kenny, at the Dogs Dinner, the Dogs Kennel. 0-0 was the final score. So at least, Preston got a point. I'm pleased about that. So we play Preston next. Preston will go down the M25 to take us on at the Vic on Tuesday night. I don't think Preston would travel back up to Lancashire. Surely they won't travel. Or maybe they would. Maybe they'll take a plane out of that godforsaken airport. That they will. I'd rather Stansted. Go to Stansted. I mean, Preston. I mean, I'm not going to do this, but imagine them go to Stansted Airport instead. Don't fly out that other airport. The one they said, the one they made a song about years ago. Oh dear, gotta have fun with it. You gotta have fun, especially after a win. Come on now, this is absolutely you gotta soak this up. You don't get these too often. These away wins. Let's hope they come like the buses. You miss a bus, and one don't come for half hour, and then you get 5 in a row. Let's get 5 away wins in a row. Think that puts us in really good shape. So the final score today from Derby County, from Pride Park: Derby 0, Watford 2. That is a really good performance from Watford. You're pleased about that. Going from strength to strength now in 8th place. They got the win, their first win in quite some time. My goodness me. The last time they won was against Portsmouth. That was, I think, on December the 21st. So it's been the first win in almost a month. We hope for TDB. Hope he's all right. We'll see about that. But an all-around performance, an excellent performance from the Golden Boys today. Jonathan Bond, terrific in the goal as well. A team performance. Really proud of the lads. Sensational stuff. Bring on James Abankwa. We're loving that. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget to support the YouTube channel, You ORNS WFC. Please subscribe there. And, of course, the podcast, Watford FC, the You ORNS Watford FC podcast on Apple and Spotify. And, of course, for those of you on X, don't forget to obviously follow along on Instagram as well and on X at You ORNS WFC. We'll go to Instagram right now, actually. We'll continue on YouTube for a few more minutes. But that's it for here now on X. The final score again, Derby 0, Watford 2. The goal scorers, lest we forget Imran Loser scoring after 5 minutes. And of course, Ido Kayembe getting his 7th of the season. And listen, goals count for everything, even if you don't play that well. And Kayembe's had a rough stretch at times this season, but he gets the goal that gives Watford a solidifying hold on those 3 points. We'll continue on YouTube, but for now and next, that's it. Take care, everyone. The final again, Derby 0, Watford 2 from Pride Park, our 3rd away win of the season. On to the game at the Vic against Preston. That's next, coming up on Tuesday. And until then, on X, YOU ORNS. Take care on X and be well. That is sensational stuff from Watford. I am so proud of this team. Really excited about what they did today. A great performance. You can't be upset about how well Watford played. No complaints at all. This was a really good performance today. And I'm going to get to, of course, what's going on Instagram here shortly. Fellow Watford supporters, please continue to comment on the game. You've got to love it as Watford win this game by a score of 2 goals to 0. Really, really good stuff. I began by talking. I don't know if you heard it on YouTube, but I began by singing Jumping Jack Flash. I the Rolling Stones song from years ago. And I don't know. It probably sounded really brutal. I know it did, but I'm gonna probably do this again on Instagram. So for those of you who can't get enough of my wretched singing, you're about to be bombarded again in 3, 2, and 1. Oh, it is all right now. And in fact, it's a gas. And it's all right. A jumping jack flash. It's a gas, gas, gas. Woo! Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. In the building. In the building, Jack Boddington on the Extra on Instagram Live. What a game, says Jackie. I'm going to do your jumping jack flash again in a minute. I'm going to torture you with the band singing. And Demon Eddie has joined us on YouTube as well. Hello, Omar, he says. Hello, Demon Eddie. Good to see you on YouTube after a win. We got it done. Demon Eddie, we got the job done. Don't you love it? Away win. Oh, spicy stuff. The lads were really saucy today, weren't they? Got the job done. A banquet. Oh, love that challenge. Got to be careful, though, James. But blimey, good defense. Brilliant defending from a banquet. That man looks like he's been defending for 10 years. He's stuck in the Udinese. Blimey, we need him more than they do, mate. Come on, forget that. Bring this lad on permanent. Find a way to keep him here. Steve from Holywell, really. All right, Steve. Demon Eddie has turned into Steve from Holywell. Good to see you, Steve. That's what we're talking about here. Here we go. Reveal yourself, man. That's excellent stuff, Steve. Thank you so very much, mate. Steve from Holywell on YouTube, on the YOU ORNS WFC YouTube channel. Here we go. We come, we slap, we go on Insta, says Jack Boddington. Joe Larkin says hello. Joe G's has joined us. Trigger the permanent deal. I don't care, says Jack Boddington. Yes, Jack. Absolutely. Make him permanent, mate. I don't know what's going on. If Porteous has to go, he has to go, mate. I'm sorry, this lad here, Tom Cleverley was not lying to you this week when he told you this guy knows the art of defending, and he absolutely does. Tom Cleverley, he said he's going straight in. I mean, even before we even got to look at the man, he was telling us he's going straight into the side. Who does that? You don't hear any manager go like that. He's going straight in. He makes a statement like that 3 days before the game. He's going straight in. He went straight in after 20. I'll tell you what, he went straight in after 28 seconds, didn't he? You got to love it. James Abankwah is a throwback to them days in English football where the defending was like bloody brilliant, brutal stuff. He ran all over the pitch. After 28 seconds, he made a real point to them Derby players. If you think you're going to get through me, you got another thing coming. If you want to get up this pitch, you're going to have to go through me. And it's from that very moment, Derby just looked like they were a little bit intimidated. I mean, the man defended his position very well. He was a solid rock out there. The whole defensive back line was excellent today, but Abankwah was excellent on that debut. Really, really good stuff from him. YOU ORNS! Great win. Could have had 4 or 5 goals there, said Joe Larkin. 100%. Right Turn Clyde joins us. Hello, Right Turn Clyde. Jack Majellis from the United States has joined us as well. Jack, good to see you. I was just singing about Jumpin' Jack Flash and Jack Boddington. Your name also is Jack. And I'm going to have to sing that song again. And I'm going to torture all of you with my terrible singing. But it's all right now. In fact, it's a gas, but it's all right. A jumping Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. Woo! Yes! We got the W! Oh, the concert series. Not tonight, mate. I already went to a concert yesterday. I'm not doing another one now. Oh, Jackie boy. Jackie boy. Woo! Oh, you got to love it. Oh, this is such a good game. Lovely, watchable game. Loser! After 5 minutes, scoring the winning goal for Watford today. Oh, we flipped the script on the early goals, didn't we, today? And then, of course, in the second half, Ido Kayembe, who has not played well in a lot of games, but really was really good when he came on, I think, in key moments where he was on from the start. But he scored that all-important second goal. Really cool finish. His 7th of the season, by the way. And that made it a 2-0 Watford lead, and that was that. Kayembe was definitely onside. Thank you, Joe. I agree. I saw the pictures of it as well. All these people talking about he was offside, bunch of nonsense. I posted a picture on X that showed you he was onside. So, yes, Joe Larkin, you're absolutely right. Onside all day long. I love it, says Jack Majellis. Love it, haha, says Jack. Jack, that's for all the Jacks in the world. Not Jack Grealish, though. But anyway, all the Jacks who support Watford. Now, listen, that was terrific. And even if I have to botch the song, I didn't botch the song. The singing is awful. But listen, I was playing Jumpin' Jack Flash before the pre-match this morning. So I'm a big fan of the Stones anyway. But that is a terrific game today. That deserves a sing song. Come on, Watford fans, get on the horn and start singing. I want to hear it. Right Turn Clyde says, I watched the Ireland under 21. Don't forget, Abankwah is from the Republic of Ireland, and he is an international. He is terrific. And this is what Right Turn Clyde says about him. I watched the Ireland under 21s a lot. Abankwah is a class act. Glad he was thrown straight in. Absolutely Right Turn Clyde. And you watch the Ireland under 21s, and you see that man is different gravy. He is absolutely terrific. He's got a great attitude to the game. Very thoughtful, very skilled, poised. He plays like he's got bags more experience than he perhaps might have. He's an old school defender from them days in the 1970s and 80s. Some of you who are old enough to remember those days, those defenders, you don't see them kind of defenders anymore. I think the last defender who was like that, and he didn't play for Watford, his name I think is Ben Thatcher, and people were afraid of him. I mean, there were players on the pitch. I think he played for Wigan at one point. He made a play from it, and he was labeled as a dirty player. But if he was playing in the night, and that was in the 90s, late 90s, the Ben Thatcher, I think, something like that, early 2000s. But if he was playing in the 1970s or 80s, Ben Thatcher would have been an absolute throwback. They wouldn't have called him dirty because that's what defenders were doing back then. But the referee, I'm so glad he restrained his card there at the beginning, because you do fear, even after 28 seconds, the referee, we've seen people get sent off really early in games. And so you really fear there whether Abankwah's debut is going to be 28 seconds old, 28 seconds long. You really, really hope that it won't be. And then the referee had the presence of mind to keep his red card in his pocket and only give him a yellow, which I think is fair. I know the Derby fans were furious about it. The referee was not great today, and he was giving out cards to the wrong Derby players, and I understand that. But look, it's so good to have everybody in the building on Insta and on YouTube. I haven't seen the side angle, but I believe you. Yeah, Jack, he was definitely onside. If you watch it, if you go on X at YOU ORNS WFC, you'll see in my feed I posted a photograph, a screenshot of the position when the ball was taken, when it was passed at that point of impact of the ball, and Kayembe is comfortably onside. He's being played onside by the last Derby defender, so there's no issue there. But when you see it, Jack, you will see what I've been explaining. John Beatty, hello there. Right Turn Clyde talks about Wimbledon. And so I don't know why you mentioned Wimbledon, and maybe it was part of your previous comment there, Right Turn Clyde. Wimbledon, I'm sorry, thank you. Ben Thatcher at Wimbledon, okay. If that's what you're referring to, yeah, I think he did play at Wimbledon as well. But I think he also played at another club, and it might have been Wigan as well. But definitely Wimbledon, he did play there. That's very true. I think you're talking about Ben Thatcher. I tell you who else. Vinnie Jones is a guy who's a throwback too. I mean, I actually should really be given a better comparison as Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones was, people were afraid of him too. But Ben Thatcher came after Vinnie Jones. But Vinnie Jones, he was a guy in the 80s who, in the 1980s, who people were really afraid of. He was a brick wall defending. He was a very, very tricky customer to deal with. Hard man, very tough guy. And so there we go. Muscat the Aussie, says Demon Eddie. Eddie, I'm not sure, Steve, I should say, I'm not sure what the reference is and what the context is. It might have been something that I was talking about earlier about that. But anyway, the bottom line is that Watford got the win today. Will Barnes, you Will Barnes on Instagram. Hello. Good to see you, Will. Gary Costa says hello. Have a wave, Gary. Cleverly doing a fantastic job. We are so punching above our weight, but the atmosphere is the best in years, says Right Turn Clyde. Yeah, the atmosphere home and away has really been good. Fish Face has joined us. Hello, Fish Face. Good to see you. Vinny is a Watford fan, says Right Turn Clyde. Good job. Gary Costa. Hello. And he is a Watford fan. You know, you're right about that. You're talking about Vinny Jones, who, by the way, is a big-time actor now. I think he lives here in the States. He might have a home back somewhere in the UK, but he probably has a Spanish villa to go with it all. But yeah, Vinny Jones, I think he is a Watford. I think that you're right on about that. And by the way, Vinny Jones is from Watford. He was born in Watford, which a lot of people may not know. But Gary Costa, good to see you. Thumbs up there as well to you, Gary. Great to see you all here, Watford fans, on both YouTube and Instaland on Instagram, Watfordland on Instagram, and Watfordland here on YouTube as well. At YOU ORNS WFC is the place to be, whether you are on X, whether you are on Instagram, or whether you are here on YouTube on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YOU ORNS WFC YouTube channel. I am very pleased with this. Listen, we've got to have a quiz. One quiz today because it's an away win. It's an away win. It's 3 points. We're in 8th position in the table. You've got to love it. This team who played horribly for 80 minutes against Cardiff on Tuesday night, picked the final 15 minutes to flick on a switch. Bio scores in the 87th or 88th minute, and they play good football in them final 15 minutes. And as I said here on the pre-match, Watford had to bring those last 15 minutes against Cardiff into this game, and they had to start this game well. The key, I said before the game in the pre-match, you can go and rewind the YouTube and Instagram pre-matches. The key is to start these games well, and if Watford can score first, they'll have a much better chance to win the game. We had been behind in all of these games, right, including the game against Portsmouth that we won. We had been behind in every one of these games. In fact, the majority of the games this season, Watford have trailed. If you look at all the games Watford have played this season, there's probably only 4 games that I can think of where Watford were not behind to start with. They scored first. In the game against Millwall, 5 games. The game against Stoke that we won 3-0, the home opener. At the game, obviously today against Derby, the game against West Bromwich Albion, which was the last time we had actually scored first and ended up in the, scored first. That was against West Brom last month, about a month ago. And then, of course, the game against Sheffield Wednesday, where we were up and scored there. So those are 4 or 5 instances that I can think of off the top of my head where we've scored first in a game. Every other game this season, to the very best of my memory, and again, I'm doing this off the top of my head, every other game we've played this season, except them 5 I just mentioned, Watford have trailed. In every one of them games, we've been behind in. Every one of them, including, just think about it. We were behind against Sheffield United twice, behind against Norwich, behind against that lot up the road, I can read them all out. Cardiff, we were behind twice in both those games we were behind. So the key thing is Borough. That's the other game where we scored first. Thank you, Gary. Gary is absolutely right. Watford against Borough. And I think Watford against Sunderland, we were trailing in that game, I think. But Borough, absolutely, we were winning in that game, I think. We took the lead there and we won the game. The game against Derby at home, we were trailing in and we won. The game against Coventry at home, we trailed in and we got a point. So, really it's 5 or 6 games where we did not score first in. And so it just tells you how good a job Tom Cleverley has done. And I do want to spotlight him here again, because there were all these rumors flying around about Tom Cleverley's position and all because of the streak that was going on, the losing streak, the rumors going on about, is he going to get backed? Is he going to get sacked, backed, or sacked? That was what was flying around social media. The comment that Tom Cleverley made on social media, I think, was a big reason why a lot of people, Watford supporters, a lot of us were very concerned about that, because, the ownership does all these outlandish things at times, and we were hoping that they wouldn't do something like this with someone who the Watford fan base is clearly in love with, clearly close to. He also is close to the fan base. He was, he played for us twice, 2 different times. He is an under-18s coach. The man's done really well. In his last game for Watford, his last game of his playing career was the winning goal against Burnley. Do you remember that? Just unbelievable. This man is someone who's endeared a lot of goodwill to this Watford fan base, and you don't want to sack him. We've already seen how that goes down. And the last time that happened with a manager that we really liked was the time that he went and look where he went to, got that lot promoted, and now he's out of a job. So anyway, that's ancient history, even though it was 3 years ago, but 2.5. But the bottom line here is that that's right. Absolutely, Demon. Absolutely, Steve. You're absolutely right. In the very shirt that I'm wearing. Sorry for shouting, but no, Steve, you're correct. This was the shirt that they were in. And this was the season right after we got relegated. We played Burnley. We beat them 1-0. And that goal was scored in front of the Rookery. And he scored the goal, injured himself on the scoring of the goal. Obviously, everyone celebrated, but they really stopped because they saw that Cleverley was seriously injured. And that was the only goal of that game. And that was an injury time. I even remember the score. It was literally roughly an injury time of that first half. And Watford ended up winning the game by a score of 1-0. We went down to 10 men in that game as well. I think Asprilla or somebody got sent off in the game. Check me on that. I'm doing that from memory. My memory can be good and it can be abysmal at the same time. But that is how I remember it. Thank you, Lockdown Nails, and thank you, Steve, for your comment on that and reminding us. That was indeed in the very shirt that I am sporting today, the Watford shirt from the 22-23 season, or maybe the 22-23 season, I think, or 21-22. The 21-22 season was in the Premier League. The 22-23 season was the season that we were back in the Championship. Lockdown Nails, hello to you on Insta. Nice to see you. Philip Mason on YouTube has come forward, and this is what he has said. This game was very important because of several factors. Not conceding an early goal, actually scoring away from home, and also holding on to a lead and keeping a clean sheet. Just need a number 9 now, says Philip Mason. That, Philip, is a great comment. So that's going to be the YOU ORNS Watford FC post-game comment of the game. Philip Mason gets that honor tonight with the YOU ORNS WFC post-match fan comment of the game. With this comment, this game was very important because of several factors: not conceding an early goal, actually scoring away from home, and also holding on to a lead and keeping a clean sheet. Just need a number 9 now. That comment encapsulates everything. Everything. That is well done from you, Philip. Congratulations on that. And Steve says, cheers, 22-23. I thought so. I thought it was 22-23. I was stumbling about there a bit before I finally landed on that. But yes, absolutely, it was indeed 22-23. Watford back in the championship. And of course, that was the same season. Literally the next game after that, if you remember this, Steve, Watford got that incredible goal from Ismail Assar from behind the halfway line that ended up being the goal of the season. That was the very next game against West Brom, which was a 1-1 draw. That was a really wild game at the Hawthorns. We'll be playing them, I'm sure, in the near future again. And when we play them at the Hawthorns, that's going to be a completely blood and guts affair, because we know that we're trying to scramble in for playoffs now. We are in 8th. I predicted before the season began that we'd stay in 8th at the end of the season. Now, that we'd be 8th, rather. Before the season began, I predicted that we'd finish 8th this season. Obviously, if I'm right, that means we missed the playoffs. If I'm wrong, let's hope that means we are in the playoffs and not lower than 8th. So the bottom line is we're just a point off the playoffs. This was a very good performance from Watford today. You've got to be pleased about the way they applied themselves in the game. The game management was excellent. I thought that even though our passes were stray in the first half, we kept going. We didn't feel sorry for ourselves. A lot of the times when we've been on the road in these games away, our passing is really poor and it stays that way. You know, the pass doesn't quite get to the Watford player that we needed to get to, but these lads kept going. And as they kept going, they grew in confidence. And I think one of the very important things about that first half that no one's mentioned yet, and I'm going to mention it now, is that our possession, we really held on to possession well. We got some passes together finally. We put a string of them together in the first half, and especially in the second half when Derby were absolutely on top of us the first 20 minutes or so. And you know that's going to happen in these games. The away side is going to have to suffer for those first 20 minutes of the second half. Watford suffered very well, but what they did to really blunt Derby's momentum was to string some passes together and enjoy possession and really use possession more, and then grow into a confident counter-attacking team. They were excellent on the counter-attack in that second half. Excellent. I will watch the game back and watch that counter-attack again. There were a couple of times where their counter-attack from defense was excellent. This is really one of the games that Tom Cleverley needs to bottle up and show to these lads. I'm sure they'll have a good time watching the film. They made a few mistakes. You can't, when you win games, you still got to watch the film. You know, film sessions, some people might think the film session is only when you lose. Film sessions are film sessions, whether you win or lose or draw. And these games, whether you win them, lose them, or draw, you got to watch the film. And there's going to be a film session probably tomorrow. I don't know, maybe Klebs gives them the day off tomorrow, or maybe not. I don't know. Because they got a game Tuesday against Preston at the Vic, so maybe they don't. Maybe he don't. I don't know if he will give them the day off tomorrow or not. But it's a quick turnaround. I think that's the only bad thing, if you can say there's a bad thing about a win, is that it's a quick turnaround. So they haven't got time to really bask in this game, which actually might not be the worst idea, because you don't want to get too high after a win and you don't want to get too dejected after a loss. Watford now 2 unbeaten, and they're looking to make that 3 against the Preston side, who got a draw today against that lot up the road. I think that Preston now, who are hovering, well, they're not hovering, they're near mid-table. They're roughly, 14th in the table, I think, somewhere around there. They are definitely, look, they're in the bottom half of the table, but they are a team that, you know, they've had up and downs, Preston. They've drawn their last 2. They've not won in their last 3, but they're a team that can give Watford some troubles and problems. We got beat by them very badly. Remember that back in October, we did not play well at Preston, and Preston really did lay us out 3-0. That was one of our poorest performances of the season. So Watford have some real incentive here to get back in, and I definitely think that Watford can really try to bounce back against Preston, get some revenge against them, and try to string a winning streak together, because this is the time of the season where you have to stand up and be counted. The festive period was obviously a challenge for Watford. We didn't really come through it very well, and I don't think we handled the setbacks well. But now I think you've seen these last 2 games. We had good character against Cardiff despite the poor performance, And today, we went on the road against a team that was in the bottom 7, and we finally won. This is the first time we've actually won away this season against a team that was in the bottom 7. Millwall, of course, he doesn't count because that was before he kicked the ball. Anyone kicked the ball basically this season. Sheffield Wednesday, I think, were higher up in the table than Derby were when we beat Sheffield Wednesday back in November. And the bottom line is that this was an important win because we often play up or down to the level of our competition. But today we played the Watford way. That was the difference. We played the Watford way today, and it's a joy to see that. It really, really is. And so I'm very pleased about it. Philip Mason, who had the comment of the game today in the post-match, says this: check wasn't missed today, which is important if he's sold in this transfer window. That's a good point. And Georgie, you mentioned him. He was not missed at all today. And you're quite right. I totally agree with your comment there, Philip. That is important that Watford played well without him. And Watford, I think, were not as predictable. And it's not a knock on Georgie at all. But Watford were far less predictable in this game because the defenses know that George is going to run riot through the middle. But what Watford did, I think, today, Philip, and everyone else watching, is diversify the play. Watford diversified the play, spread the ball on both channels very well. I thought that they passed out of trouble pretty well today in the second half, especially. Bar was brilliant down that right side. Vata was excellent. He gave you total commitment, as he always does. All of these lads did today. Bio, I thought, had some good running in him. He should have scored. But Bio at least was busy. He's busy and industrious, so he always works for the team. We all know that. He had a chance to pass the ball to Vata, but it was really close. I can't fault Bio for taking the shot there. He is your forward player. Vata is close to him and maybe has a better shot at it, but the goalkeeper's coming out. And the shot is on for Bio, and he took it. And plus, the goalkeeper was close to both Bio and Vata. So it's a very tricky situation. You just got to go for instinct there and take a shot. But the bottom line is that the lads played very well today. Again, a good away performance. We normally struggle against bottom teams away from home. We didn't beat Plymouth, who were near the bottom when we played them. We didn't beat Hull, who were near the bottom when we played them. These are all away I'm talking about now. We didn't beat either of them. We didn't beat Cardiff away when we played them. They were in the bottom 2 or so. We didn't beat Preston, obviously, when we played them away from home. I can go through all of these games where Watford played against teams who were in the bottom 5 or 6 and didn't come away with wins in any of them. But today, we have bucked that trend and managed to get 3 precious points at this time of season. As I was saying earlier, the push for playoffs and playing well is very important because, of course, as I said, we came out of the festive period and now it's time to get back to focusing game by game. And Watford now, 12 wins, 5 draws, 10 defeats, a +1 on the goal difference side. Middlesbrough also on 41 points along with us, but they're above us by on 7th place. We're in 8th. Middlesbrough have a +9 advantage in their goal difference. They got a draw today, Middlesbrough. I think that's a good job there from Portsmouth to hold Middlesbrough to a point, to a draw. That's a very good job. That is a final score. Oh, Portsmouth won the game. Oh! I stand corrected. Portsmouth 2, Middlesbrough 1. Oh, loving it. Matt Ritchie on the double. He got a brace today, did Matt Ritchie. Thank you, Matt Ritchie, for giving Portsmouth the 2-1 win over Middlesbrough. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. That's a big win for Portsmouth now. So I stand corrected. Portsmouth 2, Middlesbrough 1 was your final score. Absolutely love that. Oh, loving that. That's a really, really good job out of Portsmouth. Thank you there. Portsmouth get themselves to a 3rd from bottom with that win. That's their first win in 4 since the first win in 4 games. First win since, well, God no, they lost their previous 2. They won, then lost their previous 2. They'd lost 4 of their last 5, Portsmouth, before winning this game today. So that's a really good win for Portsmouth. That sends them, wow, guess who's in the bottom 3? Guess who's in the bottom 3? Luton. Guess who's in the bottom 3? Luton Town. Shite! Luton Town in the bottom 3 of your championship. And guess what, fellow Watford supporters? Guess what? there was a Luton fan who said to me when they beat us in October, 3 months ago now, 3 months ago tomorrow, they beat us 3-0. And that Luton Town fan, I screenshotted it. He said, we're going to finish the season with more points than you. What? You might not finish the season at all in the championship, mate. Oh! That lot are on 26 blooming points. Plymouth Argyle holding up the rest of the table. And if it ain't for Plymouth, you lot are rock blooming bottom. You lost 4 in a row and you got a draw today. And you couldn't beat Preston. Well, listen, I don't want to speak too soon because we got to beat Preston on Tuesday night. But that is a really poor job. Luton Town in the bottom 3. Just a little louder for those up in Bedfordshire. Because they might not have got the message. But Portsmouth, great job from them. They're third from bottom at the minute with a big win today. That's a massive win against Middlesbrough. So you know what that does? These two sides today above us drop points. Look at the teams above us. They all drop points this weekend. Let's be fair. Except for Sheffield United are gonna be thereabouts, right? At the end of the season. But all these other teams all drop points today above us. Think about this. This is a very important pickup of 3 points today for Watford. Why? Because this, right? Blackburn Rovers lost at Oxford 1-0, right? Very important game there. Blackburn lose 1-0 at Oxford. West Brom draw against Stoke after being down in that game for quite a bit of time. 1-1 was the final at the Hawthorns there. And then Portsmouth beat Middlesbrough. So Blackburn, West Brom, Middlesbrough, they all dropped points today. That is very important. And Watford picked up 3. That's the magic of the championship. And Harry, Watford FC, has joined us. Harry, WFC 11. Thank you, Harry. Hello to you. That's a very important result today. I didn't even see the Portsmouth one. I knew that they were a 1-1, but that was a goal from Matt Ritchie in the 82nd minute to give Portsmouth all 3 points. So now, as I say, the table, if you look at the playoff section of the table from the 5th spot down to the 8th spot, in 5th, Blackburn with a loss. They're on 42. In 6th, West Brom, they're on 41. They got a draw. Middlesbrough in 7th, they're on 41. They got the loss today against the likes of Portsmouth. And then it's us on 41 as well. We're in 8th. We got the win. So we are the only team that picked up points at all in the top 8, except for Sheffield United, who won against Norwich. That was always going to happen. And Norwich City were beaten 2-0 today at Bramall Lane. Leeds play tomorrow, I think, against Sheffield Wednesday. That's a big, big game there. Those two teams do not like each other very much. That game is tomorrow at, I think that will be at Elland Road. It is. And so all the other teams in that top 6 have all dropped points. Burnley got a 0-0 yesterday against Sunderland at Turf Moor. Blackburn, as I just told you, lost today at Oxford. That's a really bad loss for Blackburn. You know, I've got to tell you, Blackburn, they are vulnerable in that playoff area. I don't trust them in a big spot. West Bromwich Albion will be there and thereabouts. They'll be a nuisance. They've lost only 4 games this season, West Brom. But again, they've drawn 14 games this season. I mean, that's where they are. If they could have turned half of those into wins, they'd be right there in the mix. But I don't trust Blackburn in a big spot. I really don't. So that place is up for grabs. It's really 4 teams for 2 places in the championship playoff zone because Sunderland are not going to surrender that at 51. They've got a 9-point gap. It's a 9-point gap to Sunderland. No chance are they going to surrender that. Look, I know there's still 19 games to play, but you cannot look at Sunderland and think they're going to drop below that. They're going to stay in that. Look, they are 10 points clear. So I expect that Sunderland will be in the playoff mix. They will be in there. There's a 9-point gap to them, but Blackburn for me are the weak link in that 5th spot. West Brom are going to be in and around it. They are a very difficult side to deal with. West Brom, especially away from home, and they don't lose many away games except to us. But West Bromwich Albion are going to be in the mix. Middlesbrough, they're a tricky team. Middlesbrough, they're hard to figure out. They've got a very good manager in obviously in Michael Carrick, but they're hard to figure out. They had drawn 4 of their last 5, and they've only won 1 of their last 6 now. So Middlesbrough, to me, are also rocking and wobbling a bit. Every one of these sides goes through a spell. Middlesbrough's going through a bit of one now. They're in 7th. If Watford can get a win against Preston, they will be in the top 6, because I do not think that all of those teams around them are going to win. I really don't. So Tuesday night is a massive game for us. If we get the 3 points against Preston, we can be in very, very good shape. We really could climb back into them playoff spots, but we've got to get 3 points. 3 points and 3 points alone here on Tuesday night. And also, by the way, one other thing, TDB, again, you just got to hope that everything is good with him. I want to read out your comments. Philip Mason, the top 4 teams, says Philip, in this league are up and away, but we could still get in the top 6 when Klebs finds the right team balance. Yeah, Philip, right on and spot on. Again, I do think that that's coming. Demon Eddie's got some laughing emojis there, and of course, you probably posted them, 5 or 10 minutes ago, and so now, that probably in response to Luton from a few minutes ago. So Steve is loving it there. Ryan, good evening, says Ryan Debdoob. I hope you enjoyed the match. Question mark. Oh, no question mark there for me there, Ryan. I certainly did. 2-0 to the Golden Boys. Hope we win against Preston at home on Tuesday night at the Vic. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, I think you might have had a prediction. I know there were some people who predicted 2-0 the Watford way, who's not with us on this chat at the moment on YouTube, predicted 2-0 win, so he was spot on. There was a 3-1 prediction as well. I predicted 1-1, so what did I know? 2 goals were scored, but both of them were scored by us, thankfully. So I got that prediction wrong, and I'm glad to. And so I'm really pleased. There's an opportunity now against the Preston side, who we played very poorly against back in October. We lost 3-0 in that game. So we've got some revenge to take against Preston North End. We lost really poorly. That was a poor game. Midweek game, lost 3-0, looked really lifeless. It was the first game that I remember from a number of weeks in the season so far where Watford just weren't anywhere near. They weren't near the building in that game. And of course, there was a couple of other games. The game against Norwich, we weren't in the building. The game against you-know-who, we weren't. And of course, Steve refers to this. Demon Eddie says, against that lot, yeah, they are terrible. Just imagine a fan telling you the arrogance of a game. That was what, 12 games into the season, and you're chirping because you beat us 3-0, and you're saying we're going to finish higher than you, more points than you in the table. What are you talking about? What was that Luton fan? I've got to produce that screenshot and post it at the end of the season, because there's no way they're finishing above us. No way. I didn't respond to him at the time when he sent that. I just screenshotted it because I know better not to respond to something like that when you've only played 12 or 13 games of a 46-game season. Yeah, you're going to be found out, mate. Your team's going to be really found out at the end of the season. You lot, if you keep going in the way you're going, you'll be in League One next season, mate. So happy days. I'm totally going to wait until the end of the season to put my screenshot and my shot. It's like what Robert, I don't know if you listen. I know that there might be a younger audience watching, but there was a film back in 1962 called Cape Fear, the original Cape Fear, not the Robert De Niro Cape Fear from the 1990s, but the movie, the original in 1962. Robert Mitchum. And this is how I think about this with that fan from that club up the road who said, "Oh, we're going to finish higher than you." You know, Robert Mitchum has a famous line, or one of the lines I like, in Cape Fear from 1962. And he said, he's talking to Gregory Peck, the other actor he's talking to at the time in the movie. He says, "Counselor, you've had your innings. I'll make my stroke later." And that is exactly what I'm going to do at the end of this season. That guy, that so-called team that he supports, he had his play. He made his play back in October when they beat us. I'm going to make my innings count later on. You've had your innings, mate. When the season ends, I'll make my stroke then with that fan from that so-called team, from that so-called stadium. They're building a new stadium, by the way. I don't know where they're building it. Maybe on someone's backside somewhere, but whatever, you know. Oh, dear. I mean, come on. Come on, mate. Get in, you Watford. Come on. Elton John's tailor-made army. Elton John's tailor-made army. Elton John's tailor-made army. Yes. Bring on Preston, says Brown Electrons. Yeah, bring them on. Come on. Come to the Vic. Come to us. Come at us. At Vic. at the Vic. Come at us on Tuesday night, Preston. Bring all your best. Bring your best. By the way, they're the ones that got a 0-0 draw at that godforsaken place up the M25. We'll see how that goes. Watford will be trying to keep 2 clean sheets in a row, which they've not done for an awfully long time. Since November was the last time they did that. That was the second of those clean sheets was against Queen's Park Rangers. They had beaten Bristol City 1-0 on a Tuesday night at the Vic, and then Saturday early afternoon kickoff, they got a 0-0 against QPR. That's the last time we had back-to-back clean sheets. It's incredible. That was in November. That was November. Oh, goodness gracious me. Anyway, it's January. Maybe we can do that again. I'm so close to singing that January song. Those of you who are of a certain age know, from Pilot. You remember that song? There's someone on here who knows that song, who's been around for a long time like I have been. That song called January. Love that song. But I'm not going to sing that song. That one I will not do. Ryan says, do you think Watford could get second place? No, I don't think they'll get second place this season, Ryan. The reality is that there are too many very good championship sides, a couple of whom have been in the Premier League over the last season or two. And they've got very good players, very good managers. Scott Parker's done a very good job with Burnley, by the way. And his emphasis has been on defending. And a team that concedes only 9 goals after 27 games is going to go up. They're going to go up. If you've conceded only 9 goals in 27 games, you are going to get promoted. That's really, honestly, that seems like that's not a silly statement to make. I'll put it that way. That defense is as solid as I've ever seen a championship defense. And we're the last team to score against them. That was nearly a month ago. I think it was a month ago. I think it was December the 17th or 18th. So we're talking roughly a flat out month ago now. It might have been December 15th, whenever it was. It was maybe December 18th, I think. That's exactly a month ago. They've not conceded a goal since then. It's a month. So no, Ryan, I don't think Watford gets second. There are just too many good teams up there. Sheffield United are very strong. They did the double over us. They're not going to get past them. Leeds United, we played well against them in the second half, but the problem was the first 15 minutes of the game was a disaster. Daniel Backman, we know about that. But we showed signs against Leeds second half, but Leeds are right there. Leeds are probably going to go up. And Leeds should have won that playoff match last season in the playoff final, but they didn't. But I think Leeds, with their manager, Daniel Farke, they've done a very good job this season. Leeds should have won the game at Sheffield United this season, but they blew that in the last possible second at Bramall Lane. To make your point there, Ryan, they're too good. These sides are too good. And also, I'd also put among that mix, as well as those two, I talked about Burnley and I talked about Leeds, Sheffield United. I would put Sunderland in there as well. Even though we've beaten Sunderland have got really good pedigree. They've lost just once in their last 6. So, Ryan, the answer is no for me. I think the thing for Watford is their performances away from home have to continue to be like this if they're going to get anywhere near automatic. The other problem is, Ryan, the amount of points that we are behind the 4th place team in the division is a big reason why Watford aren't going to go up automatic, because there's a 9-point gap between the 4th place and 5th place side for the playoffs alone. So that 9-point gap is going to be too much to overcome. And we are actually 10 points behind that. And so when you look at the fact in the table there, the second place team is currently on 53 points and Watford are on 41. That's 4 games. That's 4 wins. You can only make up wins. You can't make up losses. And Leeds only have 3 of those. And we have 10 of those. So we have to make up wins to Leeds. And Leeds will have to go on an almighty struggle. So will Burnley, who've lost just twice the entire season. I think Burnley's going to end up winning the championship, by the way, because of what I said earlier about the goal difference. So, Ryan, thanks for the question, though. I appreciate the question. It's a good question to ask because, again, you never know in the championship. Some teams can go on an almighty struggle. Watford had their struggle. It's time for these teams at the top to have a struggle, and I don't see it from either Leeds or Sheffield or Burnley. Sheffield United have had a wobble. They lost two of 3 games during the stretch, but they've now bounced back to win 2 in a row. Leeds have been good all season long. They've lost just 3 times. If you only have 2 or 3 losses at this time of the season, you are going to be there and abouts to be either an automatic or win the title. And I think Burnley will win the title. Burnley missed a trick yesterday, though. Sunderland played them pretty tough. It shows you if you can go into Burnley and stop them from scoring, that's a good effort. I mean, we did a good job against Burnley as well. Late in the game, we did a good job against them. It's kind of like the Cardiff game. Burnley outplayed us throughout the game, but the last 10 minutes, we showed a little bit of fight with Barr's goal, but it wasn't good enough in this particular instance versus Cardiff, where we actually got a point the other day. But yeah, you're looking at the top 4 sides in the division. They've all lost 4 games or less. Sheffield United lost 4, Leeds 3, Burnley lost 2, and Sunderland lost 4. West Brom lost 4, but they have 14 points in 6th. So you can't look at that. 14 draws. You can't look at that. But Sunderland have lost only 4 games. That's just, 27 games, you lost just 4. Burnley have lost just 2. I'll read out your comments, please. I'll read your comments. Max Cady, there we go. That's right. Ah, yes, by Robert De Niro from 91. Yeah. Steve talks about Max Cady. This is the Cape Fear reference. If you are a movie buff like I am, movie critic as well, and a big fan of movies, and I'm sure you are, and I did talk about the Cape Fear in 1991. But I know Max Cady, Robert De Niro did a good job in that. But the movie is not as good as the one in 62. At least I don't think so. I mean, that's just my view. Oh dear. And Ryan sent a message, and Demon says, Steve says, San Francisco is where I am. I'm from London originally, born and raised, grew up in London, Watford fan, went to games all the time at the Vic as a lad from many, many years ago. I come back to the Vic every now and again to watch some games. Who knows? Maybe this season as well. We'll see. But yes, I am here in San Francisco, California, where the sun is trying to poke out. But there's a bit of blue sky, bit of blue sky, a little bit of blue sky. But we'll see. We'll see. We need some Watford skies here in San Francisco, California. And look, it's been a terrific day. And I was going to do a quiz, but it can be foggy at times, Steve. Thank you for asking. Always foggy. They're not always. During the summer, it's very foggy. The fog is lifted here for the most part. Yeah, it's lifted for the most part, but it's not always foggy here. In the summer, it can be. It usually is in the summer. Fog rolls in, rolls out, then rolls back in. But this time of year, not so much. In the next couple of months, not so much. It'll be much less. But then when we get to July, August, September, it does roll in and out. The best times, by the way, to come to San Francisco are September and October. It's actually warmest in September and October. Summer is a bit colder, but with global warming, climate change, we do get warmer Julys and Augusts at times. But anyway, that's the note on San Francisco, California. But this was a really good day for Watford. I will give you one quick quiz question if you can answer this quiz. What temperature is it in San Francisco in January? Usually it's in the mid-50s in January, Ryan. Thank you for asking. It can be in the low 50s, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, that is, low 50s, mid-50s. Currently, it's in the mid-50s now, I think, if I haven't looked yet. But it's been warmer this January again because of all the climate events that we have now. It was 64 here in San Francisco a couple of days ago. Sun was nice and gleaming and shining. The sun does poke out here during this time of year as well. So we'll have some sun at some point in the next day or maybe later. Yeah, we'll probably get some sun today, actually. We do get sun a lot here, but there are days where it is cloudy and foggy, and you have to deal with that. And it can be quite cold in San Francisco. I think people think that California, everywhere is nice and hot all the time. Not true. Not true at all. I think if you want nice and hot all the time, you have to go down to Palm Springs, which is often 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Even this time of year, Palm Springs is nice and hot. If you like the hot weather, dry heat, no humidity, Palm Springs is the place for you in December and January especially, but everywhere all year round, Palm Springs is 95, 98, 90, 98, 100, 110. Palm Springs is very hot a lot of the year. So that's something that's in Southern California, Palm Springs. So there we go with that. Thank you, Ryan, for that comment. I want to just do this quiz really quickly. Why not? Why not? To close out this edition of the You ORNS post match on both Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you very much for sticking through my bad singing and all the rest of it after a Watford win. Well, you better sing after a Watford win, because if you can't do that, even if it is the Rolling Stones and Jumping Jack Flash, which is a terrific song, you've got to do that. If you can't do that, you can't do anything, as far as I'm concerned. But here's the quiz, and I'll ask you directly. The preliminary quiz, of course, is to ask you, and then you don't get a prize for this, but as you know, I'll just throw this one out there. I will just dispense with the preliminaries. I'll just go straight to the question. The question is this: name me, and you'll have no looking it up, right? But you will have only 7 seconds to get this, right? Name me the Watford player. Name me the Watford player who, and you can name any one of these Watford players, but name me the Watford player who wears number 8 or who wore number 8. Don't look this up. You got 7 seconds. 7, 6. There we go. Philip on the double. Check for Thursday. Absolutely. Philip Crouch. That is a record time. Boy, that was really quick. Thank you, Philip Crouch. That is I barely finished. Wow. Yep, Blissett was correct as well. Gary Costa got that right as well on Instagram. But the fastest was Philip Crouch. Whoa, that was record time on YouTube. My goodness me. That might be the fastest response to any question I've ever asked from a Watford quiz. And by the way, there was no prize on this one. I didn't offer that because I just went straight to the question. But that is correct. Maybe the next time we'll do prizes. I'll go back to what I normally do with the quizzes, which to ask a preliminary question with the first person to then come in and give me the answer. Ryan, Ryan, you deleted your message there. I mean, did you put Georgie down there? Maybe you didn't. I don't know, but you deleted it. Check for Thursday was the correct answer. Blissett was the correct answer. You could have said Cleverly as well. Also wore number 8 as well. Remember, this was not just limited to current players. As I said, it's all time, any player. And you're quite right, Gary, as you said, Luther Blissett did wear number 8, and Philip got the answer first. Georgie, correct. That was correct with that one. And you spelled it wrong. Yeah, I understand that, Ryan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Although on this quiz, certainly was not, wouldn't have held it against you, because this quiz, the rule wasn't as strict. But next time, yeah, I'll get back to the very strict rules that you've got to spell it correctly. But the bottom line is, I would say Chak. Chak certainly is the correct answer. But Paul Wilkinson, I think, did wear 8 as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, Steve, off the top of my head. And I don't want to look it up. So I don't remember, but I think you may be right about him wearing 8. Dear, oh dear. Yeah, he might have worn 8. But I definitely know that the other answers are all correct. Chak was correct. Chak Fatazda, who did not play today, will hope that he'll come back for Preston. But if it's a bit longer, it might be a little bit longer before he comes back. And of course, we know that Tom Cleverly played the number 8. Nobody mentioned Clevs, but definitely Cleverly wore the number 8 shirt. And obviously, Luther Blissett did as well. So thank you to all of you who answered that question absolutely correctly. And so we will see who is your man of the match, by the way, because that's something that we're also looking at now. There's a number to choose from. I'm going to say James Abankwa, the You ORNS Watford FC man of the match today, because he was so good. Great debut, really poised, very much in charge and control. Loved it. Really loved what he did. There's a lot of people to choose from. I know that they've given you 5 options on Watford's website. They've got 5 options: Barr, Loser, Pollock, Rocco Vata, Jonathan Bond. Those are all really, really good choices. But I'm going to say, I'm going to pick a choice that's not there. James Abankwah. I thought he was terrific. He set the standard. He set the set off a marker. He set the tone, I should say, in this game with his real challenge there in the 28-second mark of the game where you were hoping he wouldn't get sent off. I thought Abankwah was terrific in the game. So he is my man. The You ORNS man of the match for me is James Abankwah. Now, I think that if I had to pick from these 5 that Watford FC have put on their website, Imran Louza, Quadro Bar, Matty Pollock, Rocco Vata, and Jonathan Bond, I'd pick Matty Pollock because I thought that his leadership and critical defense was very, very helpful. Really was everywhere in the game. Bond, I would also give a runners-up spot to because Bond was excellent at times in the game. It's very tough. In fact, I'll lean toward Johnny Bond, actually. From this lot, I'll pick Jonathan Bond because he did do an excellent job in the goal for Watford. So there we go with that. Let me read out something to you here. Tom Cleverley on Georgie Chakvatazde. We've done some tests today, and I should get the results of those when we get back on the bus. So hopefully that's more good news from today. Now, this was probably earlier in the game here. He's been a bit fatigued recently, and he's played every game for his club and country. We're hoping it's just a bit of muscle fatigue and nothing more serious. That is the comment. I think that was a comment that he made earlier that was released earlier, but it's been put up again here in the last half hour on the Watford FC website. Klebs on Abankwah. That was a proper championship tackle after 30 seconds. It didn't take him long. I thought it was a great challenge. And then he got booked and he's walking a tightrope. But I was really impressed with how calm he was with the ball. He's a defender who likes to defend. He's got that urgency and a defensive mindset. He's a very mature lad. He's got a fantastic attitude. He wanted to learn from minute 1 of getting over here. And I had absolutely no reservations about putting him straight in. You love it. See, that's the great thing. And he said, and Kleb said this during the week, I'm putting him straight in. He's going straight in. I mean, that's a manager, right? And any talk, any rumor that Klebs was facing the chopping block or Klebs is not going to be backed, and he better be backed in this window. He's already been backed with this loan spell, this loan from Abankwah. But any notion that God, this ownership better not ever touch Tom Cleverley. Yeah, boy, it'd be holy hell to pay, wouldn't it? If this ownership ever put their hands on Tom Cleverley and pushed him out the door. That's a manager that has your back. Young player, just coming from Udinese. He ain't played. Look, he's from the Republic of Ireland, so he has played in the He's played football for Ireland. Let me say that, and I'm sure he's probably played in the UK proper, right? In the UK, right? Because Ireland is not part of the UK. Northern Ireland is. Ireland is not. And so, but I'm sure that he's played some games inside the UK, right? So he's obviously played one today, but I'm talking about for his country. That's just support from the manager. You want a manager saying you back you straight in you go. And he showed, and I'm telling you, I don't know if Porteous is staying or going. I've heard a million things. Klebs wants him here, he doesn't want him, and Klebs wants him here. The player doesn't want to be here, whatever. I've heard a million things, right? A million things. Thank you, Gary Costa, for saying that. He's played for Charlton on loan. So thank you for correcting the record and correcting me. Gary Costa on Instagram says that Abankwah, because I've not checked his record at all. Thank you, Gary, for doing that. Played for Charlton Athletic on loan. So he's played inside England before. But let me tell you something. You want a manager backing you. And Ryan Porteous, whether he's staying, whether he's going, whether it's kind of like the kinks, should I stay or should I go, right? With Porteous, who's been awful these last few games. Look, he was on the bench today, never saw a lick of this game, never. And to me, it was really telling about Ryan Porteous when who did Klebs bring in to defend? Ogbonna. Very, very telling to me, right? Because if you're going to bring in Porteous, and if Porteous isn't going anywhere, you're probably going to bring him on the pitch, aren't you? But he brought in Ogbonna instead of Porteous. Klebs brought on Ogbonna instead of Porteous. That's very, very key for me. Dan Atkins, Danny! Oh, Danny boy. Danny! Yes! Yes. What an away day, says Dan Atkins 72 on Instagram. It's good to see you, Danny. Danny boy. Yes, Danny, get in there. Woo! Loving it, Dan. Loving it. You ORNS! Loving it, Dan. Excellent stuff. What an away day is right, Dan. This is a sensational performance. From start to finish, the confidence level was there. The lads were really engaged today. And it was just great to see Imran Loser score after 5 minutes and not Watford concede after 5 minutes. And a clean sheet. Oh! Happy days, Danny. Happy days for the Watford. You got to love it. Absolutely sensational stuff today from these lads. James Abankwah, for me, he is the YOU ORNS man of the match. I know there's a million people to choose from, and as I was just saying before you came in here, Dan, the Watford FC website has put up 5 choices for the man of the match, and their choices were Johnny Bond, they were Matty Pollock, Quadwo Bar, Imran Loser. There was also let me go back to this because I forgot the other 2. And there was also Quadwo Bar, Imran Loser, Matty Pollock, Rocco Vata, and Johnny Bond. And by the way, Matty Pollock gets it. And I was, so far, at least on the website, I said I was going to go with Matty Pollock, but I said I'd go with Johnny Bond instead. Pollock was excellent too. They all were brilliant in the back line. But my personal choice, the YOU ORNS man of the match, James Abankwah, because he set the tone from the start with that tackle, really good, proper tackle. He was lucky not to get a red. I'm glad he didn't get a red. The referee was smart to say a yellow. It's definitely a yellow card, but it's a legitimate challenge though. But you can see why the yellow card was given. It's definitely a foul. But it was a great challenge. And bottom line is the referee, I think, did the right thing and didn't give him a red, because I've seen referees send players off for that, as you have too. You've seen refs send players off, Watford players particularly, off for something that was a lot less worse than that. And that wasn't even bad. It was a fair challenge. It was a throwback to the 70s and 80s in football, when defenders really were allowed to defend like that. And yeah, great stuff. Vata class, back Clevs, says Dan Atkins. We were talking about backing Clevs a moment ago before you came in. Thank you for that, Dan. Danny boy, another win, Danny. I got a win away. Oh, come on then. Huey, hello to you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you on Instagram. We already had the quiz, by the way, which I must say, Philip did an excellent job of on YouTube. And it wasn't the typical quiz that I normally do. Philip did a really, really good job with that. Philip Crouch, that is. Got it right in like a second and less than a second after I said it. So just unbelievable. Great stuff there, Philip Crouch on YouTube. Paul Wilkinson, we talked about that. Got to go for Pollock. He was immense. Speaking of Philip Crouch, Philip says, got to go for Pollock. He was immense. The whole team were man of the match, says Steve, a.k.a. Demon Eddie, on YouTube. So, yeah, it's really hard to pick. I had said Pollock initially, but then I switched the Watford vote. My Watford vote for the website went to Jonathan Bond. Bond made some brilliant saves in that game. You know, if it wasn't for him, there would be no clean sheet, because once that defense did get breached, that was the man at the end. So if I was going to vote there, I'd definitely vote for Bond. But my YOU ORNS man of the match, YOU ORNS man of the match is James Abankwah, because he set the tone. I thought he was very, very good. Showed you the confidence of the defense, and everybody took his lead. I thought the challenges were good from all the Watford players today. They were very good, very disciplined, very lively. You got to love it. How many Watford fans, says Ryan, were in the away day end today? It looked full. It was. I think approximately 2,000. I don't know. That's just a glance. I had a screenshot of this and I lost it somewhere, so I can't even put that out to tell you. But everybody seems to be coming in for Matty Pollock as the man of the match now. Got to be Pollock, says Dan Atkins on Instagram. Excellent today. And I had initially said again Pollock, but again I switched mine to Jonathan Bond on the Watford vote. And the Watford way, hello Watford way, you absolutely got it right. You said 2-0. You were correct. The Watford way, get in. Yes, indeed. And he also says Pollock man of the match. So we have a lot of people coming in at Matty Pollock, and Matty Pollock's winning the vote on Watford FC's website too. So there we go. Yes. Yes, from the Watford way. What a day of sport we have for you. Those of you who are Watford fans will be happy to know. If you are NFL fans as well, you've got some playoff football to watch, the American style football. That's coming up in the next, probably another 2 or 3 hours. Kansas City taking on the likes of the Houston Texans. That's going to be a very difficult game for Houston, but you never know in these things. You never know in these playoffs. And of course, the other game today, if memory serves me correctly, would be the game between Washington and Detroit. The Commanders against the Detroit Lions today. That's also on the way. Those are today's NFL playoff matchups. Very important games. We'll see. If you're an NFL fan, you've got your hands full with that today. Watford away did predict the 2-0, and he says, I'm not a betting man, unfortunately. Oh, well, that's too bad. William Hill would have taken a loss from you. You would have taken them on today successfully, or Ladbrokes or whoever, whether it's Coral or any of the betting folks out there in the United Kingdom. You would have got something, and I'm sure today. Watford way predicted before the kickoff with the pre-match here on YouTube, a 2-0 Watford win. And how right he was. Excellent stuff. Watford way. Great away end, says Dan Atkins. Yeah, it was. Everybody put in a great performance today. We've all done it. You've put in a good performance. The fans who were there did. I have, I think, except for the singing. You missed the Dan Atkins on, for those of you on Instagram, Dan Atkins and the lot of you who came in late here. You missed me absolutely giving the most terrible rendition of Jumping Jack Flash from the Rolling Stones. You've got to go watch this back. I did it not once, but twice, and also on X at YOU ORNS WFC. Absolutely made a pig's ear out of my singing is not that great when it comes to Jumping Jack Flash. But I can carry a tune sometimes, but today that was abysmal. That's the worst. Actually, that is the worst performance, which was my own when it comes to singing. Jumping Jack Flash. Here we go there. Batchy, hello to you, mate. Good to see you on YOU ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. Oh, gosh. It's so good to see that Watford got this win. Again, we'll see about Georgie. We do hope that Georgie is going to be all right. We hope that he's not missing too much time. We obviously know that hamstrings are very tricky. You got to know that. I think anybody knows that and understands that. It's just been a sensationally good day. A clean sheet, our first clean sheet since November the 30th. I kid you not. I am not joking. That is our first clean sheet. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute, mate. That was our first clean sheet since November 30th. That was the game against QPR, 0-0. That's the last time we had a clean sheet before this game. And we had 2 clean sheets that week. Because remember, I said this before, earlier that week in late November of last year, we played Bristol City. And we were not great in that game, but we got a 1-0 win. I think it was Rocco Vata that scored the goal there. Or maybe Quadro Bar. One of those two scored the only goal of that game. Or maybe Kayembe, whoever it was. One of those 3. We won that game 1-0. And then 4 days later, we went Saturday early afternoon kickoff at the Vic again against QPR. It was 0-0. And that's the last time we had a clean sheet. Until today! Until today. Yes, we have to celebrate this. I'm sorry. I know, look, life is short. And look, you go for the simple pleasures of life and the simple pleasures in life. And one of those simple pleasures is a Watford win away. How must you be? We're winning away. We're winning away. We're winning away. How must you be? We're winning away. Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Is TDB injured or a pre-planned sub? Or also, can you shout out my younger brother, Ashley, who says hi? Hello there, Ashley. Ashley, my man. Get in. Good job there, Ashley. Hope you're well. Ashley says hello as well. Hello, Ash. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. And thank you very much indeed. Is TDB injured or a pre-planned sub? I think that, that's a great question. I've been looking around to see if he has been injured. I suspect if I had to give you my opinion, and I will, I will do that. I think it's a pre-planned sub. This man has not played in 3 months. I mean, let's really look at that. I think really, he has not played in 3 months. Now, he was injured in the game against that lot up the road, and I think it's very important to point out that that was almost exactly 3 months ago. I mean, it was October the 19th was the last time TDB played a game before today. Tomorrow is exactly the 3-month mark. This is his first game in 3 months. And I don't think it would be wise for any manager to run out a player who's not played a a match game in 3 months to have him run out there for the entire 95 minutes. Not smart. So my gut feeling, Watford way, is that TDB was taken out defensively. I mean, taken out at halftime, not for an injury, but just to manage the minutes of TDB, get him slowly back into match fitness. And I think that's a very wise choice. The game was getting physical at times. You don't want any more injuries to TDB. He's been injured so much in his Watford career. And so I thought that he did a very good job in the game today. Can't forget that to mention it. And so I think it was a smart move to take him out. Now we'll see. We'll see if there were some issues. We'll find out soon enough. But excuse me, I don't think that it's an injury. That's my gut feeling. And I pray that it was not an injury. I think TDB was just subbed out as a precaution to protect him after being out for 3 months. He did a good job, though, today, TDB, and I think that anybody would agree with that. It was very good on the ball. Again, away clean sheet, though. That is the first away clean sheet that we've had this season. Thank you, Demon Eddie. Steve, you're absolutely correct on that. It's the first away clean sheet that we've had. We didn't have any. Actually, that may not be true. Wasn't there a 0-0 away? I think we had a 0-0 away somewhere. Maybe not. We did not have an away clean sheet this season before today. We won 3-2 at Millwall to start the season. We won 6-2 at Sheffield United. Sheffield Wednesday, not United. I wish it was Sheffield United. We won 6-2 at Sheffield Wednesday. And, of course, today, obviously, we got the 2-0 win. And I thought there might have been a game where we got a 0-0, but apparently not. We did not have an away game this season in the championship that was a 0-0. None of them. The only 0-0 we've had this season was Watford QPR, to the best of my memory. Everything else away from home, we did not have a clean sheet until today. So you're right. I think this is the very, and I've not looked this up, but off the top of my head, that's definitely the first away clean sheet this season. That will give these lads a lot of confidence. If you look at the games, let's look ahead, shall we? A little bit. Let's look ahead a little bit about these next few games. We've got Preston, okay, that's coming up Tuesday. We've got next Saturday against Coventry, that's at the CBS Arena. Then we are home on February 1st against Norwich, that's a 12:30 kickoff. And then it's Sunderland. So those are the next 4 games for Watford. Sunderland, 12:30 kickoff as well. And that's at the Stadium of Light. So those are some massive games. And then we've got a tough stretch. After Sunderland on February the 8th, Leeds at home on Tuesday night at the Vic on February 11th. And then right after that, Middlesbrough away. Ooh, that's the big game. Them games there, they're massive games. February 15th, the day after. Valentine's Day falls on a Friday this year. Ooh, that's good to keep that in mind. Friday, Valentine's Day. That's good to know. If you celebrate Valentine's Day. Good to know. Note to self. But Middlesbrough against Watford is that's on the 15th of February, 3:00 p.m. kickoff. And then Watford Luton. Oh God, did I mention their name? I did, didn't I? The 23rd of February at the Vic, 12:00 kickoff on a Sunday. Ooh. Yeah, we got some revenge to get there. But that's more than a month from now on that game. So those are the next few games. These are some good, challenging games for Watford that will really test us as we try to chase a playoff spot down. Again, we are 1 point off the playoffs now. And if we can win on Tuesday against Preston at the Vic, wow. It really would go a long way to getting us right back into that top 6, because I think that if we win that game, we will be very well equipped to get back into the run of things in terms of a top six. I think we will do very well to get back to where we are there. So I have to say that I've been very, very impressed with this game. I've been very pleased today about the game because Tuesday, if we look ahead to Tuesday's games, let me do that now. Blackburn take on Coventry. That's not an easy game, right? These are the teams above us now. Blackburn against Coventry. That's a home game for Blackburn. Whoa! What about this game on Tuesday? Middlesbrough against West Brom. Oh! Someone's going to drop points in that game. That's a very big game. Middlesbrough West Brom is the biggest game of that Tuesday, right? Then you've got Watford against Preston. So the schedule, the fixtures favor Watford, but we cannot count our chickens before they hatch. And so Watford have got to beat Preston on Tuesday night. And really, it won't matter what Middlesbrough versus West Brom is, because pretty much if Watford win the game, they will be guaranteed a top six spot. Why? Because Middlesbrough are in seventh anyway, and West Bromwich Albion are sixth. So even if West Brom won that game, Watford would probably get into the top six anyhow. You'd probably prefer that there's a draw on in that game. You'd probably prefer a draw. So if there's a draw between Middlesbrough and West Brom, it will be rather inconsequential anyway. So Watford will win, will get it. So what you really do want is a draw between Middlesbrough and West Brom. Middlesbrough in seventh, West Brom in sixth. That is a big one. So you really want to have a draw between Middlesbrough and West Brom, and probably ultimately you'd want a Middlesbrough win. I mean, they're both on 41 points anyway, but you really want, as a Watford fan, from a Watford perspective, a draw between Middlesbrough and West Brom at the Riverside. If Watford get a win on Tuesday night, I think they're going to be banked on for the top six. Blackburn, of course, can also get a win. So that would probably cancel anything out. Obviously, if Blackburn were to win and West Brom were to win, Watford would stay outside the top six. But if either one of those teams, Blackburn or West Brom, dropped points, Watford would definitely get in with a win. That they've got to win the blooming game. All we have to do is win our game. Forget what anyone else does. If we win our game on Tuesday against Preston, we're in a good position no matter what. That would be 44 points. But right now, we're on 41 points through 27 games. I think that's a very good return with everything. 12 wins already. That's a really good thing. I don't think we had but maybe 13 wins all season last season. And that's off the top of my head. So, Watford here are on course for about maybe 17, 18 wins on the season, maybe 19 wins on the season. And that would get you into the 75-point area and put you in a good place. So if we get to a 19 wins, that's 7 more points, 7 more wins, that would put us around 70 some odd points when you figure it out, because you're going to get some draws in there as well. So we'll be in this. Once you get 70s and above, you're in the mix for playoffs. So Watford now have really, I think, these last couple of games from the 80th minute on for Cardiff, and then this whole game, have really begun to turn things around a bit after the 3-game losing streak, our longest of the season in our season this season. And so Watford have a chance to put things right at home again after a 2-game losing streak at home. We lost at home, of course, to Sheffield United, who hasn't. We lost at home to Cardiff before that. So we have a chance to put things right here on Tuesday. I do want to thank everybody who's been here throughout the day. I think the Vic, says Steve Dimonetti, will be buzzing next time out. Steve from Hollywell, thank you very much indeed. I do agree with you, Steve. The Vic will absolutely be rocking and buzzing on Tuesday night against the Preston side, who beat us back in October 3-0. But that was October, just like it was October with Preston. As I said, it was also October with the likes of Derby, and it was also October with a number of other teams. But, it's what you do now down this stretch, as we go down the back stretch of the season, that really, really counts. And it was delightful to see Watford get that elusive 3rd away win of the season and a clean sheet. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much indeed. I know it's been a long post-match, but hey, after a win, why not indulge? Take care, everybody. My name is Omar. You've been watching the You ORNS post-match on YouTube. Please subscribe at You ORNS WFC and like the videos and spread the word about the You ORNS WFC channel on YouTube. And of course, you've also been watching here on You ORNS WFC on Instagram, You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. Thank you very much to everybody who's commented, everyone who got involved in the quiz, and of course, all of you for watching this brand new edition of the You ORNS post-match. There will be a podcast episode coming as well. I'm definitely going to do that. We'll be talking about both Cardiff and this game today against the likes of Derby County. That's right. And of course, we'll be looking ahead to Watford against Preston on Tuesday night. You can follow the podcast as well on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget, you can follow on X at You ORNS WFC and on You ORNS WFC on Instagram. And as I said, subscribe to the You ORNS YouTube channel on You ORNS at You ORNS WFC as well on YouTube. My name is Omar once again. The sun is poking out here in San Francisco, California. And I do hope you have a good day. Wherever you are, have a good evening. Wherever you are across the world, be safe, be careful out there. And until Tuesday, you ORNS. Loving it all. Yes. Take care, everyone. Derby 0, Watford 2. We'll see you on Tuesday. Love you, Omar, says Demon Eddie. Thank you. Love you, man. Take care, Steve. Be well, and I'll see you next time.